Welcome to TruPowur, home of the most powerful marketing tools, training, and technology on planet Earth. Get ready to earn, enjoy, and experience more than you ever dreamed was possible. If you're tired of just getting by and ready to really thrive, then buckle in and listen up. Here's your host, Matt Fox.
You taking time today to be on this training. If you can, keep yourself muted so that we don't have any background noise. We've got some great things to cover today, so let's go ahead and jump right into it. All right, so the topics that we're going to be covering today are the price matching with TruPowur and a couple of new updates that we have in the price to compare in the back office of the pricing platform, as well as the new calendar strip. We'll get into that. And then entering a real customer, a commercial customer, into the back office and looking at pricing and how you go about proposals and so forth. And then from there, we'll follow up with a little Q&A. So to start with, we have the price matching with TruPowur. Now, there was a notice that was put out last month about this, but some of you may have missed it. And so I wanted to bring that back up to your attention. And that is, if you have a customer who says, well, we have somebody else that's offered us a much better rate, then get an email from that customer or the third-party supplier or the countersigned contract and have them send that to you, and then send that to pricematch@trupower.com. So I'll be sure to email this out to everybody just so that you have that on hand. But again, send that to pricematch@trupower.com, and that will make sure that we can analyze it. And sometimes what you find out is what they're actually being offered is apples to apples, oranges to oranges, is really not that beneficial. It may look like it's a better deal, maybe for a month or two, and then they're going to get hammered. So we want to make sure that our customers are being taken care of as best as possible. So at any rate, let's see here. All right, so the price match, just send that email to pricematch@trupower.com. The other update is in the pricing platform, which is the price to compare. So let's go ahead and jump into the back office. And to do that, we're just going to click on the commercial pricing platform, which will pull up your back office. And from here, you have some things that I want to point out before we get into the price to compare updates in the platform, just because I think a lot of people have questions. If you're on the CRM and you're looking for other places to work with, or areas that you want to find, where am I going to be able to provide customers the best value? When you log into your back office over here on this right tab, you see the market updates. When you click on that, on a daily basis, we do the analytics. In other words, you can physically go back and do the analytics on all of the different markets, but we do that on a daily basis automatically in all the territories, and then provide you a list of where you're going to be able to provide customers the greatest amount of value. And that's done on a daily basis. So if you open this up, you'll see right away that you have commercial matrix rates that are lower than the utility rate. So you can see which states and the amounts: Delaware, Illinois, Massachusetts, Maryland, New York, Pennsylvania. And so as you go down, you'll have the same thing, which is matrix natural gas. Then you've got residential matrix pricing, natural gas, and then where markets have received some competitive bids using the reverse auction tool. So the last one that was done was in Pennsylvania with Pico. The bid was at 37.38 cents. I don't know if that's a little small for you to see on your screen. The matrix rate was at 55.676. So that was, we were able to lower that customer's rate 18.3 cents by using the reverse auction tool. So you want to make sure that you review this when you're looking at additional areas where you want to market and talk to customers where you can actually provide the greatest amount of value. Obviously, we want to conduct business with integrity, don't lie to people, and we want to make sure that we're providing value for the customers. And so that is located right here under market updates. So the price to, or excuse me, the calendar strip that has been updated is right here. If we do an instant quote, and so let me take a quick look here. If I put in a zip code, you'll notice that not all of the areas have been updated. Most of all of the utilities have been updated, and we're in the process over the next few weeks to get all of the utilities updated in the system. But when you put in your zip code, you will see this price to compare. In other words, that's whatever the customer is currently paying. So if we know how much their KWH is, so let's say it was 500,000 KWH annually, and you've got your mills over here, I'm going to leave that at 5 mills. You'll see that you have a price to compare right here, and that's what are they paying. Now, if prior to the update, all you would see is compare with whatever price to compare with whatever rate. Now you've got an additional drop down here where you can actually look at and compare rates today as opposed to back in January, February, March, April, May, June. And so you have that ability to compare those rates if you don't know what that customer is currently paying. So let's say, for example, if you didn't know that the customer was paying 10 cents or 11 cents or 12 cents or 9 cents, they're not sure right off the bat, rather than having to go look that up, then you've got this compare price available for you here. So if we take and click on one of these, it's going to automatically update the system, and then it is going to show you what is available based on that comparable rate. So just wanted to make sure that you are aware that there are actually two different places that you can adjust the price to compare with, is here, or if you know what that customer was currently paying, you could say 12 cents and it'll automatically update the system so that you can see what the rates are today compared to that, and what the annual savings would be, or contractual savings would be. Something else that I wanted to bring to your attention, we've added a lot of helpful videos in the platform. And so anytime that you're in the back office and you see this blue button over here in the top right-hand corner, if you click on that, it will open a little dialog box here where you can click on this that will kind of walk you through the process. And so I'll give you just a quick little example here.
So let's show how to most effectively get an instant quote. I'll focus on some of the more advanced features that will help you get the right product at the best price for your customers. The effective date is basically the starting month and year that your customer needs service. When you set your margin, you're basically setting your additional commission that will be added onto the rates shown. Every utility has its own set of rate classes. This can be found on your customer's bill. When entering the price to compare, you'll find the customer's current rate on their bill. Entering it in will help to determine estimated savings. If the bill is from a utility, the price to compare is the tariff. If the bill is a supplier bill, you can just search for it there. If you see this effective date best rates show up on your screen, it means that we've found better rates at an effective date that is slightly different from what you originally put in. If your customer has flexibility in their effective date, we recommend you look at these dates instead. As your results appear, the rate bar is a handy tool that will show how today's rates compare to what is typical. Alternatively, you can also use our rate calendar. The rate calendar helps you to quickly find the best rates based on term and effective date. Simply select a rate and your search results will update based on the effective date. Looking at your options to filter your results, term is the length of duration of the contract with specific start and end dates. With product types, they can vary. If you wish to know more about all the products we offer, please check out our product type glossary in the Help Center. Now, for our purposes, a fixed all-in or fixed all-inclusive product contains all pricing components wrapped up into the rate as shown. Because of this, fixed all-in rates are considered premium, as they cover components that have potential to fluctuate or vary. When looking at the green percentage, this refers to the portion of the energy being consumed that is derived from environmentally friendly energy resources. Now let's take a look at the rate cards themselves. When looking at the billing method, you're generally going to encounter two types. Single billing, known as supplier consolidated billing or utility consolidated billing, provides the customer with a single bill. Here's how supplier consolidated billing works. The utility reads the meter on the monthly meter read date. This meter data, along with the utility's transmission and distribution charges, are then sent electronically to the supplier. Next, the supplier consolidates all the charges into the single bill. The bill is paid directly to the supplier, who then passes the utility's portion back to the utility. Now, opposite of supplier consolidated billing is utility consolidated billing. The single bill is consolidated. The process is the same but led by the utility. Dual billing separates the bills between supplier charges and the utility's transmission and distribution charges. With dual billing, you pay a bill to the supplier for their services and then a second bill to the utility. Bandwidth refers to the range of predicted consumption that locks in the price. If used consumption stays within the price's bandwidth, the price remains fixed. If consumption exceeds the bandwidth, current market rates are used. If consumption falls under the minimum bandwidth, the fixed rate is used, but the customer receives a market rate credit for the unused difference. Considering bandwidth when pricing energy allows for risk mitigation. When it comes to load factor, because we don't have account-specific customer information yet, we don't have the exact load factor rejection criteria. You always want to make sure the customer load factor criteria is above the requirement, otherwise enrollment will be rejected.
You can find that information always right there at the top right-hand corner anytime you see this blue button. So now that we've covered that, the other thing that we've updated in the system is the calendar strip, and so we've started adding this pricing help dialog box that pops up, and you'll notice that if you click on this, this is going to open up a page that allows you to actually look at the natural gas market and to be able to look at how that compares or what it's moving towards in the electric market. And so typically you're going to find that 50% of the electric generation comes through natural gas. So this is a barometer that really shows you, you know, natural gas rates right now are on a rise that is just crazy. And you're going to see electric rates that are going to be following suit. So when you're talking to a customer, even though they may or may not be a natural gas user, if they're using electricity, odds are about 50% of that generation is coming from natural gas, and the direct correlation of pricing is going to be affected based on whatever the natural gas market is doing. And so this is going to be updated periodically as we get updates from NYMEX. And so as we get those updates, you'll be able to double check on that periodically just by clicking on this link right here at the top of the page. So that's going to be helpful for you in having conversations with the customer. So those are the two main updates in the platform. Right now, we want to take some time and actually put in a real customer. So how is that done? Well, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start back here at the dashboard in the back office of the pricing platform. And excuse me, we are going to add a new customer. And so when we click on add new customer, it is going to ask us for their zip code. And I've already got some of this information keyed up for us here. So we're going to put in their zip code, and it's asking for their usage. Well, this one actually is a natural gas bill. And so when I'm looking at their total usage is in therms on natural gas. So I'm going to put that in there. And so now I'm going to hit continue. It is going to alert you that the utility is Alliant, and you say, okay, continue. And is this customer a current customer? In other words, is this a renewal of a customer that's already in the TruPowur platform, or is this a new customer to us? So is this a current customer? No. So now we're ready to start populating the information off of the bill. I've already copied some of that to make that easier to speed this process up. So let me go ahead and fill some of that out for us. You'll notice that I typically will put the name of the business in capitals so that it's much easier to decipher later when I'm looking at my back office between commercial and residential. Obviously, when you type in somebody's name, Matt Fox, you're going to put a capital M, little a, little t, capital F, little o, little x. And so you should do that with your residential deals. Don't put it all caps, don't put it all lowercase, because all of the contracts, everything that you do is going to be reflected based on how you enter this information. So we want to make sure that we do this in a professional manner and not be lazy about it. So I'm going to go ahead and start populating in some of their information here. And the street address. And we want the phone number and email. And we're going to hit next. Now this is going to go through a validation process. Obviously the address is exactly the same. The only difference is I had actually spelled out street where the suggested is abbreviated. Go ahead and use that one. It will update the system. So now it's actually asking us to put in utility information. And so on the bill, I can see that this customer actually had 2 meters. And so I'm going to put in their account number. It recognizes it, gives us a green check mark. And then I want to add a copy of the bill. So I'm going to click on Browse, and I've got that right there. So I'm going to upload a copy of that bill. And I know that there's an additional meter. So I'm just going to click on additional location entry. Everything is pretty much going to be the same. So I'm going to copy all of the information from account 1 so that that information is in there, other than adding in the account number and the usage. I need to put the usage on the first one. So the usage on this one is actually 12 therms annually. You want to remember, when you're looking at the bill, a lot of time the bill is going to show you what the usage is monthly. And so you either need to delve into it or multiply it by 12 to get an average idea of what that's going to look like for an annual basis. So we're going to go ahead and hit review. This is going to give us a last chance to kind of go over this and make sure that everything is good to go. And so I had added those two up manually. There was 3852. So we have 3852. So the system added both of those together for us. So now that we have all of that information, we can click submit. Once we've clicked submit, now the customer is in the system, and this will allow us to look at today's rates, or we can request price. Today's rates is going to look at the matrix pricing. Request price is going to ask for a custom pricing below market, and or a reverse auction in the same process. One of the things that I want to make sure that you are aware of, let me open up another tab here. Hopefully we don't lose our place. There we go. If you click on the menu over here in the top right-hand corner where you see that menu hamburger, if you click on that, you'll see market overview. And something that I wanted to point out to you, just so that you're clear, when you look at this, you've got commercial market, custom pricing. In other words, everything that you see here is markets that we are going to request custom pricing. So you can see the states where we have natural gas and we have electricity and natural gas. So the green states are states that are natural gas only. And then these blue states are states that are electric and natural gas. But these are all for request price only. If we're going to look at matrix pricing, then we want to make sure and look at where matrix pricing is available. Same thing for residential. So you always want to make sure you know what market you're dealing with. So if we try to look at today's rates, that really should come up with not available. There you go. Weren't able to find any because of that market. So it is a request price only. So when we request a price from the customer, all we need to do is click on request price, and it's automatically going to be set up for 3 bids and 3 counter bids. What kind of margin do I want in there? By default, it's going to be at 5 cents or 5 mils. And then the auction is going to be over the next 3 days by default. Now we can certainly extend that period for a longer period of time. Let's say if Friday was a holiday and we wanted to make that a little bit longer. I will tell you that 98% of your bids are going to come in at the last hour. So I usually find that 3 days is sufficient. And once we do this, we want to select the type of contracts that we want. We want fixed all in. We want longer term contracts. So do I want a 60-month terms? If I want to take and look at other available contracts, say maybe 48-month term, maybe I'll even do one more where I'll do a 36 just to get a good cross section of rates from the different suppliers. Now, one of the other things that you want to make sure to note is that in red down here, it says that an LOA is required to start an auction. So pending LOA signature is going to be required. So you can go ahead and get this started, but then you're going to need to request an LOA, and I'll show you that here in just a moment. One of the other things that I like to add in here in the special notes is to please include sweet spot deals. And so what does that mean? Well, your typical contract terms are going to be 12, 24, 36, 48, 60 months. Typically, some of those sweet spot deals, if I'm looking for, say, for example, right here, I'm looking for a 60-month term. Well, if that supplier actually has a deal that is a 59-month or 58 or 57-month deal, and it's a much, much better rate because I'm asking for 60 months, they will not include that. I want them to include any sweet spot deals that are close to that, but are going to afford the customer a much better deal. So that way we're seeing the full picture. Because if I'm at 18 cents on or 35 cents at 60 months, but I could be at 29 cents on a 57 month, I think I'm going to go for the 57 month. That's long enough. It's pretty close. So I'm going to want to take advantage of that. And then the last thing is clicking here to include the customer. It will send a special link so that will allow them to actually watch the auction in process. They won't see any commissions. They won't see anything else except the auction itself. And so that's important. So right here, it's asking to start the auction to generate the LOA. I'm not going to do that. This is actually a real deal and I need to talk to the agent. I'm actually logged into their back office. This is one of their first deals. So congratulations to them. And so they will need to generate an LOA, which means a letter of authorization. What that does is allow us to get accurate reading of their 12-month historicals to supply to the other suppliers to ensure that we're providing them the best information so that when they're bidding, I could inadvertently put in there that this customer uses, 10,000 therms. And if they only use 5,000, well, the suppliers are going to be bidding based on a certain amount of usage. And then come to find out it's much less, they're going to be a little upset about that. So we want to make sure that we're providing accurate information. So this is pretty straightforward. I think that we've covered this a few times, but I think it's very helpful. And if you by chance have already sent the LOA, there's two ways that that customer can facilitate that LOA. They can just click the link. It'll open up. All they need to do is type in their name, hit enter. It will come back and it will attach itself right back to the account that it came from. It'll update the account and then you'll be able to proceed forward. Otherwise, right now, you don't see the button down here on the bottom right-hand corner because the LOA is not on the account. There's also in that same email that goes to the customer for the LOA, if they're not comfortable with signing it digitally, there's a link on there where they can actually print it, ink sign it, and scan it and upload it and email it to you. And in that case, you'll be able to upload the LOA right here into that account. And so let's say if you attached it and had a copy of it, then you'd be able to upload it. Then the submit button for custom pricing is going to appear, and then you'll be able to facilitate this auction or request for custom pricing. So it's pretty simple and pretty straightforward. I think that when you're looking at different areas in order to market, I think it's important to note that you want to hopefully try and make most of your focus on areas where you can provide both electric and natural gas. Those are going to be your premium states. And again, to locate that is to go over here to the menu, look at the market overview, and then you've got matrix pricing. So here's going to be your premium states, right? So the states that you're going to have electric and natural gas are going to be your blue states. Over here, your natural gas are the green states, and then just electric are going to be these teal tone states. So those are going to be your premium states. That's not to say that custom pricing is not valuable. I do a lot of it every day. And so you have a much bigger share in that market. So, you know, you got California, Texas, Illinois, Michigan, Ohio, and all of your eastern seaboard there. So take advantage of that, and especially when you're looking at having support add more customers into your CRM. Take a look at this, be aware of what markets you're looking at, and I would also take a look at the market updates so that you can see which markets are best. So right here, you can see that this is based on matrix rates. So anything that you see here is going to be a premium. So state in far as marketing is concerned. So these are going to be your first choices. If I were looking at some place that I wanted to start marketing into, then I would take a look at this just so that I know that this is the markets where the markets are most favorable, where there have been some significant drops in the market, and we can provide them a much better deal on matrix rates. And matrix rates is just where you're able to give them pricing today without having to wait 3 days for a request for pricing from the suppliers or a reverse auction. So I think that's really valuable and really important. So when you're looking at matrix, let's just pull up a, well, let's use a Chicago. So again, you've got the different price to compares here. If I know that that customer is currently paying, you know, 8 cents, I can update that. If I know what they're paying or what their usage is, let's say it was 100,000 kWh, the system will automatically update, and I'm going to leave the commission for the margins at 5 mils, which is the default. And so when I come down, I can see right away that the best available rate right now is going to be for a fixed all-in 36-month term at 6.35. It's going to save the customer $5,000. And obviously for that small of a deal, it's going to provide some pretty decent little income there. So that's valuable and important. So, but anyways, we had a good time today. It is now almost 1 o'clock, so almost an hour. So I appreciate you taking time today and being with us on the call. It was recorded, and so we'll get that posted up on YouTube as soon as possible. So appreciate you being here today. Have a blessed week, and go and get them. We'll talk again soon. Thank you.